Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to this week's edition of the Digital Shop Talk Radio. My name is Tom Dorsey, and I'm coming to you again from the mobile Digital Shop Talk Radio studio. And I am very excited and honored to be coming to you live from the Drive headquarters in Monrovia, California. Today I've got two great guests on. Frank Scandura, our co-host with the most. Frank's been a regular on here from Frank's European in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I've got Jim Saley from Drive. He's a senior service consultant with the Drive organization and former shop owner from New York. And today what we're going to be talking about with y'all is how to stay in touch with your customers in the digital age, keep them loyal to your business without spamming them. Right. And talk about kind of some of the differences and changes in the market, how we leverage the digital technology to add value, keep those customers engaged and keep them coming back, and preferably with a plan. So without further ado, thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. I know we've been having a little audio issues with Jim. Jim, can you hear us? No, we still got, maybe you guys dial in, or like I said, you're always welcome to come on upstairs, since Jim's just down below because we wanted to set up this funky studio thing, but I got an extra chair right here. You can come on in. But let's get it kicked off with Frankie while we got him with solid audio. Frank, you've been digital shop with us probably going on, what, 5 years now?
I think so, Tom. Yeah, very close to 5 years now.
And, lots changed in that time, right? It's funny. I was talking with Jim right before the show, and we were talking because Jim is a traditional shop owner, paper-based shop up in New York, and back in the day, it was kind of funny how the progression would go. Is your customer retention program was usually you went to church with those folks, right? Your parents worked with them, whatever it was, and then we kind of went to your retention program was more I've got a radio ad on top of the yellow pages. I named my business A. So I get number one in that yellow pages, and I've got some billboards. Then we kind of went to, sending out some direct mail. And then an email, right? And so kind of, and there's been this progression. So Frankie, if you could start us off, because, you've probably gone through quite a bit of that change. Today over the way it used to be
so way back in the day, Tom, when I first got into business, I could run an ad, and they were column inches, so I call it 3x5. It was 3 columns across, 5 columns down. So I could run a 3x5 ad in a local newspaper on Sunday. And I'd have to get to work early on Monday because I'd have a number of voicemails I'd have to catch up on, and the phone would blow up all day long. And those days are far gone, right? Far, far gone. And it's so important how we have to be top of mind all the time with our motorists, because they're so inundated with information from outside sources. And it's not that they don't want to do business with us, but sometimes they forget. And I often tell the story when I teach on marketing about I needed a plumber. And I started racking my brains. Who am I going to get? I need a plumber. And I start doing research, and I start looking around. I start doing all this stuff and calling people. And I select a plumber, and I have him come down. He does an okay job. Thanks. Here's my money. On the way home that night, a plumbing truck drives across the traffic light in front of me. A1 Plumbing and Heating. That's my friend from church who owns the plumbing company I completely forgot about and never called. Had he done a little bit of marketing and sent me reminders and sent me something in the mail, he would have been top of mind. He would have been my first call. So, and that's why it is so important to make sure the motorist only thinks of you and only wants to come to you, because that next postcard that shows in the mail from that guy who doesn't have any cars and, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I need to send postcards out and give away the store, might get your customer's attention for that moment because they forgot about you.
Yeah, exactly. You got to stay top of mind. And nowadays, it's so hard because there's so many different, branches of the platform. Are you social media? Gosh, some of the old stuff, direct mail, it doesn't even really work as effective. But now we got texting and email, and how do you decide? Do you do it all? Do you do a piece of it? Hey, Jim, how you doing? Can you got with us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can hear you, man. So perfect. Did you catch Frank's intro? I mean, was that
I
similar
did.
to your
No,
experience?
absolutely. As a matter of fact, it's funny because I did do a lot of direct mail and knew the post office well, because that was the way to stay in touch with customers. But these days, that's definitely not the case. And you do need to stay in front of them, because if you don't stay in front of them, like you said, they're going to go somewhere else. They forget about you very quickly.
Yeah, no, and so let's talk about that. So as a senior service consultant, am I saying your title right? Is it senior service consultant?
I have all kinds of titles here. It depends on the day, depending on what I'm doing. But yes, that's fine.
What happens when you add value, you get more responsibilities. So, but
Exactly.
shops, I mean, so what are you seeing? How are you consulting? What's your advice to those shops to be able to get that CRM and get those communications with the customers loyal?
So the thing is that you need to stay in front of your customers all the time, and if you don't, if you're not actually using text, using email, calling them on the phone, and just having a regiment in place that you follow all the time, because that's one of the other things that I see too is guys will actually have all these great things and all these great tools, but unfortunately they don't use them, or they start to use them for a while, and then all of a sudden they get a little busy, so they slack off on them, and all of a sudden then things slow down again, and now they're playing catch up. It's something that you have to develop a habit with and do it all the time and keep it going, keep it fresh as well. That's one of the keys that I see is guys will have these successful actions, these things they do that work, and then for some silly reason they drop them out.
Yeah, and it's usually because it's that shinier penny, right? It's the laser beam and the cat, right? I'm gonna, that's just something new. It must be better. I'm gonna go do that. And if I'm not tracking my metrics, right? If I'm not paying attention to my ROI, then maybe I think it's better. It feels better. It's funner, but it's impacted my business. But Frankie, let me ask you something. How do we operate and stay top of mind, like Jim said, without spamming, without intruding?
Okay, so the way I look at spam is when I try to reach people who don't know me. And I do it in ways that I think will get their attention. And let me get an email list, or let me do this and let me do that. That's spamming, right? And if you really think about it, when I do a direct mail for either a specific area, whether it's every door direct, or if I buy a list or whatever, that's kind of a spammy intrusion. But people don't look at it that way. They go, just another postcard, just another postcard, just another postcard, or oh, what's this? And if you think about it, all right, guys, raise your hand. Do you do that? Right? So if you're doing it, your customers are doing it. Tell the truth. Right?
Absolutely.
I open that little coupon thing for two reasons. I want to laugh at the Goodyear discounts, and I want to see if my favorite restaurant's giving me a buy one, get one. All right. So you really have to be very, very careful. So that's kind of those new customers. When it comes to people that have already dealt with you and already made a commitment to walk in your door and they've already given you money, that's a different relationship. Now I can send a thank you for your trust for new customers. I can remind them about their next visit. I can send periodical information or emails out, and I can send postcards out on occasion. I can make an announcement about some promotion we're doing or a charity we're supporting, because we have a relationship now. So it's a different expectation. Now, I've got companies that I deal with that when I get 2 or 3 or 4 emails a week, I'm out. Okay, 1 or 2 a month, I'm okay. Any more than that, I feel like it's kind of like, where are they? Where'd they go? Who are they? So I think spam is when I'm trying too aggressively to get those new people, and I've already got the relationship. You're giving me permission to stay in touch and let you know what's new.
And so what I'm hearing from you, Frank, is that you educate the folks that you have a relationship with.
Let them know you can expect to hear from us, right? So it's like that drop-off process. We are going to do this marvelous digital inspection. It's going to have all of these pictures and explanations of everything we're doing and why. How do you prefer that have that sent to you, email or text? Oh, yeah, you can fill, and then they fill in the blank, their preferred method of communication. So I'm not saying, oh, is it okay if I send you an email? No, I am going to send you information. What's your preferred method of delivery?
So Jim, same question is that, because this is what makes it ineffective. And it's funny, we've got data, right? And data doesn't lie. And so if we're able, we notice the difference. If I send out a generic kind of, hey, come in, it's time for service, or even worse, it's time for service, here's $25 off, so I'm going to start to, cut my margin to try to, coerce them to come back, versus I'm going to add value, educational content, reminder that in that fashion. How do you differentiate between, being a value add versus—
So it's interesting. It's interesting. Well, it's very interesting thing via text or email to an individual. You can actually be personal. The individual. You can direct the message to them. So it doesn't become this spammy thing. Like Frank said, you have this relationship with the customer. And another important point that he made is the fact that you let them know, I'm going to do this. You're not asking permission. As a matter of fact, in sales, it's a very important thing, isn't it? You got to direct them. So this is just another part of that process. And if you educate your customers really well with it, they don't have a problem with it. Actually, they enjoy it. They actually appreciate it. I've seen it happen when shops that I go to, because that's another thing that I do. I'm in shops all around the country and watch how they operate. And the shops that do really well are the ones that are actually engaged with the customer and treat the customer like part of their family. And using these methods makes them able to do that, to create that culture for that. So it's very effective.
You hit the nail on the head right there, right? It's personalization, because we're kind of in this me generation type thing, the selfie generation. And, and we talk a lot about this. As a matter of fact, I'll be talking about it in the Lunch and Learn here today, is that, we're scrolled through so much information on a daily basis now in this cell phone thing that we carry on our supercomputer, that if something doesn't stand out to me, meaning it's probably me focused, or of course it's a funny cat picture, kind of the two things that get, that's what the internet was invented for. And what ends up happening is, if it's just text, if it's just, hey, sale, but if it's something, my supermarket does this to me. It's big data play, right? They know what I like to buy. So every once in a while, they'll just send me coupons for all these things that I highly engage with, because it's like, I eat that all the time. Oh my gosh, they know me so well. You know what? I go in with those coupons. I'm not a coupon shopper. Those are literally the only coupons I've ever used in my life, because you know why? They're personalized to me. And I think to myself, gosh, they took that extra, and it wasn't really any effort on their part. Let's be honest, it's just data.
Right.
But they took the effort to make that connection to me and personalize that experience to me, and I respond. So how do you get, Jim, how do you get your shops to be able to give a customer service experience similar to that through communication after the customer has left the shop, so that they become loyal and come back 3 times a year?
So, it's very interesting. You have all these wonderful systems, and there's computer systems and programs and everything else to allow you to collect all this data. It's a matter of collecting it so that you can actually use it later on. One of the things that I see, I have a customer come in. I know that he likes to golf. So I can, just the fact that I know that information creates that communication when that person comes in, or something that's real to that customer. That's the key, is what's real to the customer. It doesn't matter what's real to me. Tom, like you were saying with the supermarket, and what they do is they're playing on what they know you will actually respond to, because it's something you like. And it's a matter of staying in touch with them and working with them, and really at the counter and your relationship with them, what they like or they don't like. Some customers, they'll want to hear from you all the time. Some, call me in 6 months. I only drive my car 5,000 miles a year, and if you know that, then you're staying in touch with them. You're handling things the way they like to have them handled.
Now that's a brilliant point, Jim. Frank, I got to ask you, where do you think that relationship begins, right? I think Jim hit the nail on the head.
It begins with communication and asking the questions, right? What's the best way to succeed in a business like ours is find out what the customer wants and then give it to them.
And we do that at drop off.
Absolutely, drop off. Yep. We do that in our marketing message too, right?
Exactly.
So And we had a situation the other day where a customer goes, "Hey, I read on all your reviews about the loaner car, but nobody told me you guys have loaner cars." Okay. So the funeral is Saturday, by the way. So, because what I've just written down was to make sure that I say be consistent.
Right.
Be consistent. Whatever you decide to do, do it. Don't be this, hot and cold way of reaching out to your customers. And look, here's the sales cycles, right? Jim, you probably see this with your shops all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, we're all going to die. I got to market. And then,
That's
okay,
right.
we're too busy. I can't do it anymore. Oh my gosh,
That's
we're going to die.
Yep.
And because they're not consistent.
Yep.
They're not consistent. I could go back over last year and look at where we had little dips and lulls and understand that, it's because we got real busy and then, oh my gosh, we pulled back on everything. And then we forgot to unpull back and then we had a normal drop in traffic. So it's
Right.
Be consistent. Make a commitment. Make a plan. Do what you say you're going to do. Do it. Do it. Do it.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's a follow through. You got these great ideas, and it's like, yeah, I need to do this, and then because you're busy or whatever, your consistency drops out, and it's the follow through, and that's one of the things that we find with our clients is, you're talking to them on the phone, and it's like you got to give them a swift kick in the butt and say, hey, what the heck have you been doing? Sorry, I didn't mean to stop you there, Tom. But
because I just have a follow up for you, because what I'm going to ask is to say that, because Frank's point is very, it's critical really to setting that up, is that you have to have consistency. The consistency really starts on your website or on your digital marketing, right? Is because that's where the story begins, and the education that I do about your business is I'm making a decision where I'm going to take my vehicle. And if you can set those expectations, show me how you differentiate yourself from other shops in my area, your digital shop, and you kind of give me those expectations, you know what happens? More and more, we're in this kind of software as a service type lifestyle, right? We get Netflix and it just renews and these things, and I can look and see when my pizza got put in the oven and when it's gonna come to my house, and I know I need to go to the curb to pick it up, right? And
Right.
So what happens is we become conditioned to expect those things. If we start that education on the website and we follow through at every touch point, drop off, reinforce it while the vehicle's in the shop for, during inspection and approval, reinforce it at pickup. And then all of our reminders align with that. We emulate that kind of that service experience where I don't really have to think. My phone tells me what to do next. I drive to the shop and I say yes. Because wouldn't we all love to have those customers, right? Yep. So let me ask you, Jim, how do you, because that's that's a big sea change, right? That's a change in process. Before it was toss me the keys and sign this and I'll call you when I know something, and oh my gosh, I'm going to sell you over the phone. How do you coach your shops to say, A, get that consistent process, and B, make sure that process is effective?
So, keeping those systems or putting those systems in place is a matter of, it's a training thing. And this is one of the things that I see happen is digital inspection is a perfect example of this. I've watched it both ways. Shop now does digital inspections, and the customers are coming in saying, wow, this is really impressive. I really like what you're doing. Nobody else does this. You're the only person in town, and I really appreciate having all this information. Made it very easy for me to understand why I needed to do stuff, and the sale was actually rather easy. Then I've seen guys that do it. They hire somebody else, they put somebody else in the position, and unfortunately, they don't take the time to train them on the successful things the shop is doing, or they don't understand them. The new person doesn't understand them. So training is a huge aspect in all of this actually making work properly.
Yeah, training and reinforcement. And then, Frank's point, be careful how wide you crack that throttle. Because like I said, if you think that it's feast or famine and you blast everything, then you got all these cars coming in, but then guess what happens? Consistency falls apart because we got to start cutting corners because we get super busy. So Frank, how do you make sure that you got those guys on that consistent process? I mean, that they're doing it at every touch point and then it's actually working.
All right, so I just finished up some John Maxwell training, and something that was really profound that I heard that weekend was the biggest gap in our lives is between what we know we should do and what we actually do.
Amen, brother.
Mhm.
So we know we should be inspecting every single car, but I'm too busy or I have excuses, right? And what did I read? And I shared this with my team. If you want to, you'll find a way. If you don't want to, you'll find an excuse. And when you really think of that, right, the shop owners that are listening, when you ask your team to do something, and the first thing they do is give you all the reasons why they can't do it, or all the reasons why they didn't do it, or everything that was wrong with the request for doing it, they've just grabbed that bucket of excuses. And then, you know, it's just, let me try this one. Let me try this one. Let me try this one. I call it excuitis, right? It's a disease where I've got an excuse for every possible solution. So if they want to, they'll find a way. So, and that's the culture I bring here, right? It's kind of like, Tom, you know this, right? I got shops all over the country that when they come to Las Vegas, they say, can I please spend some time with you? And they do. They'll come here and then sometimes it's a half a day or more. We'll spend together and I go over the processes in the system. Why? It's because it's Frank's way or the highway. I have got to create that atmosphere of, listen, guys, I do this for a reason. I do this because I want the customer to experience service like they've never experienced before, including the dealerships. And it's just got to be you've got to create an atmosphere of, this is the way we do it. Here's why, right? Because I could just walk in the morning and kick the dog and walk out. Nobody understands the why. I want to teach the why, show them the process, like that, Tom, show them the process and help them understand this isn't just going to work and doing our job. We can just do that, right? I could be an average shop and not care.
Yeah.
We
But
want
Frank,
to
I don't think Frank, you won't do anything average. I don't think you put your slippers on in the morning average. You probably like do a backflip and just land into them. At least that's the way I imagine it.
I'm an average guy. I put my pants on the same way most all you do. There's nothing special. I just have a desire to be better. That's all. How can I be a better man today than I was yesterday? How can Tom Dorsey spend time with me and I speak into his life and make him a better man today than he was yesterday?
Every time I spend a minute with you, Frankie.
All right. So, and honestly, guys, we're all leaders, right? Everybody who owns a shop or has aspirations owning it, you are a leader. Act like it. Okay. Be the leader people want to follow.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so, so for folks listening that are saying, how do I implement what we're talking about here today? I really just summarize, to, I guess, reinforce is to say, personalize your communication, vary your communication, mix it up, keep it fresh. Great point to what Jim said, make it about them as much as possible. And matter of fact, we had a show on, gosh, was it Neil Daly? It was Neil Daly. We were talking about how he really, even in his digital inspection, he incorporates the customers, the motorist personality into there. They might take a picture of a license plate frame or a funny, air freshener hanging from or they might even put an inspection topic in there that says, hey, I like Van Halen too, with a picture of their, and it's just to say, gosh, our culture is personalized customer service and really relationship driven. We're fun and cool people too. We like to do business with fun and cool people, and really be able to do that, and then use the different digital platforms that you have and mix it up, right? If you email and have a cadence, it's have a cadence. Again, starts on the website, reinforced at every touch point while they're in the shop, set the expectations at pickup, and then vary that cadence. I'm going to do a phone call in 3 days. I'm going to send the thank you email in this time. I'm going to send the first reminder at this time. I'm going to email it. Then I'm going to follow it up maybe by text, right? I'm going to post on social media so that I can catch as many eyes as possible, as many fish in my net, if you will, cast the broadest net possible, but keep it fresh and exciting and personalized so you actually get them to focus. Frankie, what would you say your open rate is for your post-service communications?
I think it's like 15%. I've had a couple meetings with Chris Maggard and whatnot and gone over. It's pretty high, so we're pretty happy with the open rate. Texting, the replies back for appointments are pretty high. I get an occasional stop when people don't want to be communicated with anymore, or I'll go in and uncommunicate people from time to time because sometimes you have to fire the people. But we're really pleased with our open rate. You know, we've really established a personal touch here that's, you know, it's not just a transaction. My car's broken, you fixed it, thanks, here's my money. It's got to be more than that. People don't buy parts and pieces, they buy trust.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So Jim, same question, you know, what's the difference? Have you noticed, or let me ask you a different way. What's the challenge that you have? Like if you were to come in, start consulting with a shop that, let's say, doesn't have a follow-up plan in place. Maybe they're using, you know, kind of just a template or generic type email that goes out, and maybe that's automated and they don't really mix it up or think about it much. What's the challenge to be able to implement what you were talking about, is that personalization and that fresh and unique content?
So, you know, it's like anything else. You got to change habits with individuals because they've been doing something so long a certain way as far as a shop owner. So it's getting them to understand that they have these habits that need to change because they don't work. You know, and the big thing on that is actually keeping track of your KPIs or metrics and watching them to see, am I getting this response or aren't I? Is it effective or isn't it? What type of customers am I bringing into my shop? You know, Frank brought up the point as far as I take some of them off my list and I don't contact them anymore because you don't want them in your shop, you know? So those are the things that you're actually looking at to see, am I doing a good job or not? And your customers will tell you too. You'll actually get responses from your customers like, I really appreciate what you're doing. Nobody does this. This is why I come to you. You'll get all of those kinds of things when you hit the right buttons and you're hitting the right spot and you know you're doing the right thing.
And so that's a great point, right? Is that you kind of, so how to change that habit is you got to have some payoff, right? It's got to incentivize me to do something different, to even remember that I'm supposed to change something if I've been doing it this way for 10 years, right? And so being able to incentivize them and what I like to call as a quick win, right? Is if you're able to get a quick win, so you get the thank you email out, I get a good review. I send out a highly personalized and customer specific maybe reminder, I get a follow-up appointment. How do we how do we ramp them up to make those habit changes by allowing them to see those quick wins?
So one of the things that we will do, or that I will do with a client, is I'll actually give them some pointers or an idea, or get to understand their customers, what type of customers they have, and then help them put something together and say, okay, let's test this out. Let's try it. When I did that way back many, many years ago, I had with my consultant here, it was very interesting. She gave me something to do. Now, this is, of course, going back a number of years. She gave me something in print to do. I had tried them before. None of them worked. And I was like, yeah, this isn't going to work. She goes, no, try this. And of course, for me, being from New York, a woman trying to tell me how to run my shop, that was something I had a little hard time getting over. But she straightened me out real quick when the first thing that I sent out, I got 25 new customers on. And anything I sent out before, maybe I'd get one. I was like, okay, there's the payoff. And with our background and having that background and helping them, because we've done that with so many shops, it's how we help getting that payoff to them, getting them started. And then once they start to see the forest through the trees, shall we say, they're actually starting to get through it. The shop owner starts becoming creative and coming up with these ideas and seeing it themselves, which is a good payoff for me, because it's like, wow, they get it and they're actually utilizing these tools.
Yeah, that's when you know it's going to be sustainable, right? The needle moves and then it stays and then it trends up, right? How do you track those KPIs? I mean, how do you give that feedback or even split test something to know that it's working?
Well, one of the things that this again is developing that habit is asking the customer what brought them in. What brought you in today? Why did you come in? Right? That kind of thing. That's one way to do it, but it's also in looking at your car count. You actually start looking at the number of repeat customers that are coming in the door, the number of new customers, depending on what you're doing, is a simple way to do it. As you get more sophisticated and put more of these systems in your shop, oh my goodness, all these electronic and the digital age is helping tremendously with tracking this kind of thing, which didn't exist before.
Yeah.
So it's step by step to get them to that point. Let's start with the basics asking a simple question at the counter to utilizing all these systems that you have and getting them trained on them. That's another factor that I see is the guys don't spend enough time getting trained on them once they do get to that point.
No, that's a great point, right? It's one thing to buy the product or to implement the system or to have the data. It's a whole nother thing to actually utilize it in a correct and effective fashion. So Frankie, same question to you. You're AutoVitals digital shop. So how are you tracking that data? And I guess I would ask you, maybe what was the most eye-opening thing you saw once you were able to look at some of the behavioral data that you get in your business control panel?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the frequency report that's available through AutoVitals is like, I can't believe it. And because we get stuck in our mind when we have a problem, whether it's a problem car, problem customer, whatever, the weather, it doesn't matter. We focus on the problem. Yeah. We tend to make decisions based on small problems that have a big effect on our overall business. And, I used to think, oh man, these older high mileage cars are such a pain. We got to stop working on them. Then I go look at the frequency report and I go, that's number one for revenue. Mm-hmm. I need to rethink this. How do we handle the problems without killing a golden goose, right? The goose that lays the golden eggs. So it's very important to analyze the data. So that frequency report's amazing. Consistency, right? I mentioned that earlier. Having AutoVitals allows me to set it and forget it kind of thing, which was very important to me. And one of the things that was really enticing was AutoVitals takes my customers' vehicle-specific recommendations and says, by the way, don't forget you still need to do this. Versus a lot of companies that say, oh, a car like yours needs this service, and they never had the ability to double check what I did in the shop. I just did it, and they're getting the recommendation again. And the customer doesn't know you're using a generic service. They think you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, so that was, for me, was absolutely paramount, critical. I don't want to tell you on Tuesday when you pick up your car that you need your fan belt replaced to have you never get that reminder. Doesn't make sense, right? I need you to remember. I don't care if you know what a fan belt does. I don't care if you know what it is. All I care about is you need it, how much, and how long, right? Most people really don't know. We educate them, we send all the information, and most people, they buy trust. They don't buy fan belts. I trust Frank says I need a fan belt. I need to know, Frank, what happens if I don't do it? Well, the fan belt could break, could be stuck on the side of the road. It could be a big problem. I need that recommendation, vehicle customer specific. So that to me, that was a critical step in staying on top of it, because that just builds on the credibility, doesn't it, Tom? It builds on that credibility that, I did spark plugs last year. You're getting a reminder that spark cars your age need spark plugs. That, I got to tell you, that's just, it irritated me. It really did.
Yeah, good. So, but that's, that's it in a nutshell. If you had it as a recipe, it's exactly that. It's perfect, man. Grab that chair right there. Jim dropped, and he's going to come on in here as we wrap. But, to be able to put that recipe in place.
We're good.
There you see. That's what I wanted him anyway. I wanted him in here anyway. Look at that guy.
So much easier.
See, you look much better sitting next to me.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about, Jim, as you were coming up, is just saying, Frank was talking about really being able to kind of, set that expectation, almost set that recipe in place and say to them that this is the expectation, kind of like we were talking about earlier, is, you don't ask, you just say this is the plan, and then we go out and we implement that. And then just it's follow through, right? But, guys, we're out of time. I could go on probably another hour with the both of you.
Absolutely.
I really want to thank both of you, because I know that there's some great takeaways for the audience today, especially the shops that are kind of new and making that transition to the digital, shop and really fighting the urge to do, avoiding that digital communication and it's so text and this and that. So I think you guys really gave a great understanding of the best practices to make that effective. The rest of it, guys, is go out and have fun. Test, try new things. Just the most important thing is document it. I sent it on this date. 2 people opened it. They both told me to go, pound sand. Now I'm going to do it again, but I'm going to change it up and I'm going to see the difference and I'm going to improve over time until cha-ching, it's working for me. As always, Frankie, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you coming in. Jim, I want to give you a second. I know we're going to be out next week for the Drive Expo, right, in Pomona, California. We're really excited to be out. AutoVital is going to be out there. Tell us a little bit about it.
So we're excited to have you there. It's something that we do every year. We get our clients together and we actually go over, talk about different things. We have other shops there. Few hundred shops are actually going to be there. We actually have working relationships with AutoVital's other companies because we really appreciate having this interaction because these tools are very important for you to be successful with your business. And we do all that at the expo. There's some really cool things we have coming over. So one of the things also, I know sometimes this expo is just really right around the corner. It's the 27th and 28th.
Book your plane tickets now if you don't have them already.
It's always fun to do at the last minute. You know that, Tom, right? So, and you'll get the best seats too, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, you say you know us, and then we'll get you in.
Yeah,
don't even worry about it.
Exactly. But the point is, so we have the expo, but we have other services as well. The company's been around for over 25 years. I used to be a client myself, and they really helped me transform my shop and change my life. So I really appreciate what they do, and now I work for them.
Pay it forward, baby.
But the big thing is, even with the way technology is these days, we can actually do what we call a shop business analysis. It's something that you can do online from the comfort of your own shop. You will actually use or meet with one of our seasoned consultants that can actually point out the pluses and minuses of your shop and steer you in the right direction. It's usually $395. I'm trying to look at what they got here for me. Yeah, because I can't read without my glasses. Sorry. So shops from AutoVital shops will receive a special price. Oh, wow. This is good that I'm actually reading this. But $395 for the shop owner and spouse to the expo. And it includes a free SBA. The SBA itself is usually $349. So you get an SBA and you get all the great tools, lots of different speakers, different topics in the expo. I'll tell you, this has been going on for many years and it's expanded so much because I know for myself, going to the expo was the kick in the pants that I need to keep pushing through, and dealing with like-minded shop owners is an awesome thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the greatest thing, right? Is being able to come out and collaborate with shops that are pushing the envelope, are looking to improve their business. Strong collaboration that way, and it's kind of one hand washes the other and a rising tide floats all boats, right? And that's really the experience that you get. We have a lot of shop owners come on Digital Shop Talk Radio, and the most successful ones are going to have some type of help, right? They're going to get consulting, they're going to get another eyes on their business. And both of these gentlemen that we've had on today will be able to provide that for you. Just reach out and talk to them. Come see us at the expo next weekend. Like you said, hey, now that you're AutoVital shop, you even get a discount.
That's right.
No excuse. Hey, that's a business write-off. Come out. It's sunny here, right? So that's a bonus. It's beautiful weather, beautiful place. You get to meet fantastic people and learn and meet other shop owners that are in the same boat as you and just collaborate and team up to be better. Same with you, buddy, is maybe we'll drag you out here to Expo. What are you doing next weekend?
I'll have to look, actually.
Because now, before the show, Frank was telling me, he wants to come out and meet folks and kind of, hey, we all learn from each other, What do you got going on, buddy?
I'm going to have to check my calendar, sir, because I do serve at church every other weekend and make sure that's whether I'm on or off that weekend, because I'd hate to stick those guys shorthanded.
Yeah.
But I'll look it up. I'll reach out to you, Tom, after the 27th to the 28th, correct?
Yeah, exactly. And if you all know Frank, but don't be shy. Frank loves to help. If you want to reach out to Frank, ask him questions. You can find him on Facebook. Call him at the shop. Frank's European. What else you got going on, Frankie? How else can folks get a hold of you and get some help from you?
So that's all of that. Plus, I'm on LinkedIn as well, and we're expanding my horizons and doing more coaching and speaking and teaching, Tom, as you know. And
he's got a book for sale too. You better buy it.
Book's free. You need it. Okay. So then that book is, how to take care of your vehicle so it'll take care of you. And we got that for our customers because I got tired of telling everybody individually everything that was in my head. So I wrote it down and handed it to them. But I'm going to write another book. So be on the lookout for that, Tom. Maybe I'll give you the first copy.
Digital shop book. He's going to write a digital shop book.
There you go. How to be a digital shop in the 21st century.
Awesome. Well, brother, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, Frank, as always. Hey, we're going to twist your arm and we'll see you at Expo next weekend. Really looking forward, Jim. I really appreciate you having me here, buddy. I can't wait to, we got a nice lunch and learn we're going to be doing here this afternoon. I'm going to be out in Atlanta. We got a workshop this weekend. So if you're in the Atlanta area, go to theautovitals.com/events. And we'll be out there on Saturday teaching the digital shop gospel. So until next Wednesday, and until we see you at Expo next weekend, get out there and make some money. Tune in next Wednesday for Digital Shop Talk Radio. Same time, same place. Well, not same place physically, but same place on the internet. You're going to find us 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, bring it into the Facebook forum, and let's help each other be successful and win another day. Thanks a lot. Go make some money.